Hi guys, I hope you're well and welcome to episode 160 of the James Layton Fitness Podcast. Now within this specific podcast episode we'll be discussing, do you actually need to consume more calories on a training day compared to a non-training day? And this is a common idea within the fitness industry. People believe that they need to be consuming more calories on training day compared to a non-training day, but the reality is it really depends on context and also what the individual's goals are. So for example, if you were an endurance trainer that trains twice per day, then the amount of calories you're burning on a training day compared to a non-training day is going to be so significant that within this context it would be pretty much mandatory to consume significantly more calories on a training day compared to a non-training day, because you're doing endurance training and also you're training twice per day. However, most of you listening to this podcast will just be training once per day. You'll be doing weight training, a small amount of cardio, and if you have goals of say fat loss or muscle building, you need to look at what the main goal is. Obviously within a fat loss phase is trying to create a calorie deficit over a chronic period of time. On the flip side, if the goal is muscle building, you're trying to create a calorie surplus over a chronic period of time. In addition to that, it's important to realize that weight training is nowhere near as draining as endurance training. You're not burning nowhere near as many calories, and therefore if you're just doing weight training, a small amount of cardio, then the amount of calories you're burning on a training day compared to a non-training day is not going to be too different. Don't get me wrong, you're obviously going to be burning more calories on a training day compared to a non-training day, but in comparison to endurance training, that's training an individual that's training twice per day, it's not going to be nowhere near that high, and therefore because of that I don't really see any need to fluctuate calories on a training day compared to a non-training day, especially because remember, let's say for example focus on fat loss, the whole goal is creating that calorie deficit over a chronic period of time over the course of the week and several weeks and months into the future, and therefore by fluctuating calories on a training day compared to a non-training just makes it a little bit more complex than it needs to be. The same applies to the muscle building phase. Again, if you're just focusing on that chronic calorie surplus, just makes it a little bit more complex if you're having different calories on a training day compared to a non-training day. Now, that being said, it's important to note you could still do this. If you have a personal preference to have more calories on a training day compared to a non-training day, that's absolutely fine. Just realize that there's going to be no real significant gain to doing this. The only thing to remember here is if your goal is fat loss, you're still focusing on that calorie deficit over the course of the week. So let's say for example that your average day's intake is 2,000 calories, so over the course of the week your weekly calorie intake is 14,000 calories, because we're doing 2,000 times 7. So that therefore means that if you do have more calories on a training day compared to a non-training day, just make sure to offset those additional calories being consumed on a training day on the non-training day to make sure at the end of the week you're still consuming that net 14,000 calories. So hopefully that makes sense. So it's just important to note that it's not just a case of just adding more calories on a training day. It's also just remembering that the goal is to create the calorie deficit, and if your average intake you need to be consuming to create that calorie deficit is 2,000 calories a day, so the weekly total is 14,000, make sure that you're making adjustments on the non-train day that therefore means at the end of the week you're meeting that 14,000 calorie target. So hopefully that makes sense. That's such an important point to make, is if your preference is to have more calories on a training day, make sure you're making those adjustments so you're meeting that weekly total. And the same applies to the muscle building phase. Let's say for example your daily average intake is 3,000, times it by 7, 21,000 calories. Make sure at the end of the week you're meeting that target. So if you're having more calories on the training day, you're going to have to bring your calories down on the non-train day, and making sure that over the course of the week you're meeting that net 21,000 calorie figure. So overall, if you have goals of fat loss and muscle building, if you just train once per day, it's not really necessary to have more calories on a training day compared to a non-training day. It can just make it a little bit more complex. But if you have a personal preference to do so, if you have a personal preference to have more calories on a training day compared to a non-training day, it's fine. Just make sure you're making those reductions on the non-training day to meet your weekly calorie target. That's so important whether your goal is fat loss or muscle building. So thank you very much for listening. If you're still yet to download my free ebook on my website, please go to James Layton, Layton Fitness.co.uk and this ebook will teach you how to set up a nutrition plan, or teach you how to set protein, carbohydrate, calorie figures for either fat loss or muscle building. Additionally, if you're still yet to subscribe to the podcast, please do, so you don't miss an episode, as these come out every single week. So thank you very much for listening. I'll speak to you next week. Take care.